Imagine waking up one morning and your alarm didn't go off because your internet-connected alarm clock couldn't connect to the internet. You groggily reach for your phone, hoping to check the time and catch up on the latest news, but there's nothing but a no-service notification staring back at you. Confused, you try to refresh the screen, but it's futile. The realization starts to dawn on you. Something is seriously wrong. You reach for your phone to check the news, but there's nothing but a no-service notification staring back at you. You try to open your favorite social media app, but it's not loading. You attempt to send a message to a friend, but it fails to deliver. Panic starts to set in as you wonder if it's just your phone or if something bigger is happening. You turn on your computer, hoping to hop onto your favorite news site, but nothing. The screen remains blank and a message pops up indicating there's no internet connection. You restart the router, but it doesn't help. The internet, the vast network that connects billions of us across the globe, has vanished. The internet, the vast network that connects billions of us across the globe, has vanished. It's not just you, it's everyone. The entire world is offline. The digital heartbeat of our modern society has stopped, and we're left in a state of bewilderment. For many of us, our initial reaction might be a mix of panic and annoyance. We rely on the internet for so much: work, communication, entertainment, and even basic information. Without it, we feel lost, disconnected, and anxious. The thought of a day without the internet seems almost unbearable. How will we work, communicate with friends and family, or even just know what's happening in the world? Our daily routines are so intertwined with the internet that its sudden absence leaves a gaping void. We start to realize just how dependent we've become on this invisible network that we often take for granted. But as the initial shock wears off, we might begin to see the absence of the internet as an opportunity. A chance to reconnect with the physical world, with each other, and maybe even with ourselves. We might step outside, breathe in the fresh air, and notice the world around us in a way we haven't in a long time. We might have real conversations, read books, play board games, and engage in activities that don't require a screen. So let's dive into this thought experiment. What would really happen if the internet vanished for a day? Would we find new ways to connect and adapt, or would we be paralyzed by our dependence on digital connectivity? This scenario forces us to reflect on our relationship with technology and consider how we might live more balanced lives. It's a reminder that while the internet is a powerful tool, it's not the only way to experience the world. What would you do if the internet disappeared for a day?
Let's start with the most immediate and obvious impact: communication. In today's world, communication is the lifeblood of our daily interactions. From the moment we wake up, we are constantly connected, sending messages, making calls, and sharing updates. The internet has revolutionized the way we communicate, making it faster, more efficient, and incredibly convenient. Billions of people rely on the internet for everything from sending a quick text to sharing important documents. It's hard to imagine a world where we can't instantly reach out to someone, no matter where they are. The convenience of instant messaging has made it possible to maintain relationships across great distances, bridging the gap between continents and time zones. Virtual meetings have become a staple in both professional and personal settings. Whether it's a business meeting with colleagues from around the world, or a family video call to catch up with loved ones, the internet has made it possible to see and hear each other in real time, no matter the distance. This has not only increased productivity, but also strengthened personal connections. Without email, instant messaging, or video conferencing, the world would be thrust back into the dark ages of communication. Imagine the frustration of not being able to send a quick email to a colleague, or the anxiety of not being able to check in on a loved one. The absence of these tools would create a communication void, leaving us feeling isolated and disconnected. Remember the days of frantically searching for payphones or relying on snail mail? Yeah, those days. Back then, communication was slow and often unreliable. Letters could take days or even weeks to reach their destination, and phone calls were limited by the availability of payphones and landlines. The convenience and speed of modern communication have made these methods nearly obsolete. Businesses would struggle to connect with clients, families would be left wondering about the well-being of loved ones, and the very fabric of our interconnected world would begin to fray. The seamless flow of information that we take for granted would be disrupted, causing confusion and uncertainty in both personal and professional spheres. The very fabric of our interconnected world would begin to fray. The hustle and bustle of busy city streets and crowded public places would be replaced by a sense of disconnection. People would be walking in different directions, unsure of how to communicate or find the information they need. The loss of instant communication would create a sense of chaos and uncertainty. Imagine the stock market, where transactions happen at lightning speed, suddenly grinding to a halt. The financial world relies heavily on the internet for real-time data and transactions. Without it, the stock market would be paralyzed, unable to function. This would have a ripple effect on the global economy, causing widespread financial instability. or hospitals, unable to access vital patient records or communicate with specialists across the country. The healthcare system depends on the internet for everything from patient records to telemedicine consultations. Without it, doctors and medical staff would be left in the dark, unable to provide the best possible care for their patients. The internet has become the backbone of our global communication system, connecting people and information across the globe. It has enabled the rapid exchange of ideas and knowledge, fostering innovation and collaboration. The loss of this critical infrastructure would be devastating, affecting every aspect of our lives. Its sudden disappearance would be like cutting the nerves of our planet, severing the connections that keep us informed and connected. The disruption would be felt immediately, as people scramble to find alternative ways to communicate and access information. The loss of the internet would be a stark reminder of how much we rely on this invisible network, leaving us scrambling to reconnect in a world suddenly gone silent. The silence would be deafening as we struggle to adapt to a new reality without the internet. The challenge of rebuilding our communication networks would be immense, but it would also be an opportunity to rethink and improve the way we connect with each other.
Speaking of the stock market, let's talk about the financial chaos that would ensue. The global economy is deeply intertwined with the internet. Every second, trillions of dollars exchange hands electronically, relying on the internet for seamless transactions. Without the internet, stock markets would freeze, trading would be impossible, and the uncertainty would likely lead to widespread panic and potentially devastating economic consequences. Remember the 2008 financial crisis? This could be worse. But it's not just the big players who would feel the impact. Imagine trying to buy groceries without your debit card or online payment apps, or trying to transfer money to a friend in need. The convenience we've come to rely on would vanish, leaving us scrambling for alternatives.
Chapter 3. Business and remote work. The way we work has been irrevocably changed by the internet. Remote work, once a niche concept, has become commonplace, with millions of people logging in from home offices, coffee shops, and even beaches. But without the internet, this virtual workforce would be left stranded. Imagine the collective groan of millions of employees realizing they can't access their work emails, project management tools, or video conferencing platforms. Productivity would plummet as companies scramble to adapt to a world without constant connectivity. And it's not just remote workers who would feel the impact. Businesses rely on the internet for everything from supply chain management to customer service. Without it, they'd face delays, disruptions, and a whole lot of unhappy customers.
Chapter 4: Social Media and Personal Connections. For many, the internet is synonymous with social media. It's where we spend countless hours scrolling through feeds, liking posts, and sharing snippets of our lives. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram have become our virtual town squares, bustling with activity and interaction. These platforms are where we connect with friends and family, share news and opinions, and yes, sometimes get into heated debates about the latest viral sensation. They are the digital spaces where our social lives unfold. But what happens when these digital town squares go dark? Imagine a day without access to your favorite social media platforms. Initially, there might be a sense of relief, a break from the constant barrage of notifications, the pressure to maintain an online persona, and the endless stream of content vying for our attention. This break can feel like a breath of fresh air, a moment to disconnect from the digital noise and reconnect with the world around us. However, the occasional negativity that can permeate social media is not the only thing we escape from. We also step away from the curated lives of others, which can sometimes make us feel inadequate or envious. But as the hours tick by, that sense of relief might morph into something else. The initial calm can give way to a feeling of disconnection, a feeling of isolation, a longing for connection, and a realization that our online lives, for all their flaws, have become deeply intertwined with our real-world relationships. We start to miss the instant updates from friends, the shared laughter over memes, and the sense of being part of a larger community. Our online interactions, though sometimes superficial, have a significant impact on our sense of belonging and community. They bridge the gap between distances, allowing us to maintain relationships that might otherwise fade away. Without social media, we'd be forced to find other ways to connect. We might rediscover the joy of face-to-face conversations, the warmth of a friend's voice over the phone, or the simple pleasure of spending time with loved ones without the distraction of screens. We might pick up the phone, call an old friend, and have a long, meaningful conversation. We might even write letters, a lost art in the age of instant messaging, dust off our old address books, and reconnect with people we haven't spoken to in years. These actions, though seemingly small, can have a profound impact on our relationships. Or even, gasp, meet up with friends and family in person. These real-world interactions can be more fulfilling and memorable than any online exchange. They remind us of the importance of human connection, the kind that can't be fully replicated through a screen.
Chapter 5. Education and Information Access. The internet has democratized information, giving us instant access to a vast library of knowledge at our fingertips. But it's also made us reliant on that access. Imagine students unable to access online research databases, teachers unable to share digital resources, and anyone with a question unable to find a quick answer on Google. The internet has become an extension of our minds, a vast external hard drive where we store information and access it at will. Without it, we'd be forced to rely on our own memories, our physical libraries, and the knowledge of those around us. While this might seem like a step back, it could also be an opportunity to rediscover the joy of learning, the thrill of the hunt for knowledge, and the importance of critical thinking in a world awash in information.
So, there you have it. A day without the internet would undoubtedly be disruptive, chaotic, and for some, even a little bit scary. But it would also be a powerful reminder of our interconnectedness, our reliance on technology, and the importance of the real-world connections we often take for granted. It would be a day to put down our phones, step away from our screens, and reconnect with the world around us. To have real conversations, to rediscover the joy of face-to-face interactions, and to appreciate the simple things we often overlook in our hyper-connected lives. What do you think would be the biggest challenge of a day without the internet? Let us know in the comments below.